Both the American and Russian leaders have finalized their visits to China. Lavrov has arrived in Beijing, paving the way for Putin's trip. China and Russia have already announced that Putin will visit China in the first half of this year. Well, the first half of the year. April only has 2 weeks left. Plus May, that's about a month and a half. And Trump? His visit to China, originally scheduled for early April, was postponed to early May. This means in May, we might see a major diplomatic event, both the US and the Russian presidents visiting China, one after the other. Why are both leaders actively seeking to visit China? What cooperation are they looking for here? Let's talk about Putin first. Recently, Putin has been under immense pressure. In Hungary, Orban is out. Peter Magyar is in. Now Magyar says he won't send military aid to Ukraine. And he won't stop buying Russian oil. But Magyar is definitely not as pro-Russia as Orban was. Even if Hungary doesn't participate in aiding Ukraine, Magyar won't veto EU aid packages for Ukraine either. This change in Hungary will put huge pressure on Russian forces on the eastern Ukrainian front. Right after Magyar's win, Zelensky made an excited announcement. He said, "For the first time in history, Ukraine deployed a robotic unit and it captured a Russian position. Why announce this now? It's clearly to lobby for more military aid from the EU." On the Middle Eastern front, Syria's Assad personally saved Zelensky. He's replacing Russian grain with Ukrainian grain. As Syria depends less and less on Russia, Assad kicking out Russian troops is just a matter of time. But the toughest situation is the US-Iran conflict. If the US-Iran war reignites, Russia would have to divert weapons to aid Iran. What's even more alarming for Putin? Japan invited top NATO officials to Tokyo. They're planning to expand military-industrial cooperation. NATO reaching into Japan aims to double-team Russia in the Far East. For Russia, from eastern Ukraine to Syria to Iran to the Far East. These four fronts are all under massive pressure. Russia alone is stretched too thin. It can't hold on forever. So what's the solution? The only helping hand is China. First, Russia is broke. Seriously broke. Don't be fooled by the high global oil prices. Russia's oil export revenue hasn't surged. Why? Because Ukrainian forces bombed Russian oil export terminals. Russia has the orders but can't deliver the oil. To fill its budget gap, Russia has almost no choice. It must expand energy and mineral exports to China. There's no second option. Second, Russia needs to coordinate with China to support Iran against the US. Iran's biggest crisis isn't military, it's economic pressure. If the US really blockades the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's oil can't get out. Its economy could still collapse. This is where the China-Iran railway becomes crucial. It might not make Iran rich overnight, but it can pull Iran back from the brink. And right before the US announced a potential Hormuz blockade, Pakistan opened a border road to Iran. Critical supplies cannot go from Pakistan straight to Tehran. Russia needs China to give Iran an economic lifeline. So why is Trump in a hurry to visit China? First, he wants China's help to broker US-Iran talks. Simply put, he wants China to persuade Iran to give the US a dignified way out. Second, he wants to expand energy exports to China. This has two parts. One, expand US domestic oil exports to China. Two, expand Venezuelan oil exports to China. Right now, the US has a monopoly on Venezuelan oil production and sales. But China's position is very clear. It will only do business with Venezuela directly. It refuses to let the US take a cut. For the US to sell Venezuelan oil to China, two things must happen. One, guarantee China's investment interests in Venezuela. Two, the price must be right. Otherwise, China won't buy a single drop. Third, Trump wants China to resume buying Boeing airliners. China hasn't placed a single new order with Boeing in 5 years. That directly caused Boeing's massive losses. Meanwhile, Europe's Airbus is making a fortune. Trump wants Boeing back in the Chinese market. Most importantly, Trump wants China to fully restore rare earth supplies. This is the key. But China's demand is simple. The US must lift the chip blockade. It's not that there's no chance for US-China cooperation. The US shut the door on win-win outcomes itself, but as China makes breakthroughs in core technologies, time is running out for the US. The longer this drags on, the fewer cards Trump has to play. Trump knows his visit to China can't be delayed any longer. From the US and Russian leaders rushing to visit China, one thing is clear. Today, China is a force no major power can ignore. As Trump himself said, you may not like China, but you cannot ignore China.